Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2018 Annual General Meeting for Airstream Wireless Incorporated. We're here again at Hackney and everyone's ready. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late. We are actually streaming, I believe, at the moment. We had a few technical difficulties there. Sean's sorted it all out now and I think we're good to go. So also, if you are watching via the stream, remember to let us know if there's any issues so we can sort them out early on. Thanks very much. Tonight, you've all been given an agenda there on the table. On the back, you'll also find the minutes from the last meeting in 2017. If you could just quickly have a look at those, and we'll be confirming those shortly. So welcome everyone that's made it tonight, and welcome if you're watching on the stream. We have a few apologies from members that couldn't make it this evening. Matthew Gledhill and Nathan Cook. So thanks to those guys for letting us know. Any other apologies from the floor before we get started? That's it. General order of business, we'll try and get the normal official business out of the way first of all, and we do actually have a ballot to do today, so we'll get you guys to fill all that out early, right before the guest speaker, and then you can all pay attention to him while the votes are being tallied at the back. We've had David Young and Pradip Marek to volunteer today for the tallying of the votes. Thank you very much to those guys, and I'll provide you with that information shortly. And of course you would know that this evening we have some guest speakers from the Growing Data Foundation, which is an organisation that's focused on IoT projects mostly, and Andrew Sargent and John Rushak joining us tonight to tell us a bit about some of their projects that they're doing with the Internet of Things, embedded devices and monitoring, in this case, of the farming environment. So that should be quite interesting. And Andrew's prepared a bit of a presentation for you as well, so we'll get into that within the next hour, hopefully. After they're finished, and before we wrap up the meeting, we'll just review the new committee and get you guys to introduce yourself as well. So, if I could, before we get started, just have a motion from the floor to accept the minutes from last year. Tom Need, thank you very much. And a seconder, if you will. Michael Kratz, thank you very much. And just show of hands to accept the minutes from last year. All present who are current members. Thank you. Cheers, that's unanimous. Awesome. I'll be doing my best to take some minutes during this meeting, but if anyone else would like to volunteer to help with that, would be also great. Don't all jump in at once. I guess it's up to me then. Yeah, if you feel like you would like to do that, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Now, moving on. Where's my mouse? Over here. Right. So I got a few notes down there. So I haven't prepared anything too amazing this year, and I apologise for that. We've been a little bit rushed with AGM preparations this year. And a lot of that has come down to the fact that we've had a relatively slow year. I'm sure everyone would agree. And this happens from time to time. Something I've noticed being involved with Airstream for a long time is that as members come and go, interests change, and people get different commitments in their life especially. Participation in the club waxes and wanes, and we find that some years, we get a little bit less done. Some years we're just charging and getting, multiple projects happening at once. So unfortunately it has been one of those years, and it's been quite noticeable. A lot of the attendance at member meetings and committee meetings indeed has been less than usual and less than we would hope for normally, but unfortunately these things happen. It is the nature of volunteering. One thing I do want to mention in that regard is that if you are one of the people currently thinking of standing for the committee, that you take that into account. There is a significant time commitment. It's not heaps of time, but you kind of need to always be on top of responsibilities. You need to be aware of what's happening in the club. The committee We do have certain things that just have to be done every year, and ultimately those are the things that all the committee members need to participate in making sure that they happen. The AGM being one of them, and all the preparation for this. I'm sure you would have seen in the lead up to this, Tony got quite involved with sorting out the nominations, announcing the dates for all the important dates that are coming up. And, you know, I was trying to help him with that as much as possible, but that was really just Tony stepping up because, yeah. Because ultimately this year we've had a bit of struggle, and it is due to the time commitment issue, people kind of committing to taking on a role. And secretary was one of those. A couple of the guys kind of stood in and did that for a while, but found that, you know, it wasn't their piece of cake. So in the end, we kind of ended up not knowing really who was being the lead secretary for the group. And that's when I had a chat with Tony, and he volunteered to get this stuff happening so that we can get the AGM out the door. And I really appreciate that help, Tony. That's been fantastic. I've tried to make up in other areas as well where I can, and I appreciate all the other guys that have done so as well. But ultimately, you know, we want to try and avoid that, so we need to make sure that the people who are committing to doing this job have considered that there will be some time required each week, each day, you know, to check your email, to make sure you can be available for these committee meetings, ideally for the member meetings as well. And, you know, hopefully with the new guys that have put their hand up, we'll find that, and I think that will be the case. So, some of the other things I've written down is just general communication within the group, which I think we've kind of been pretty poor at this year. And, you know, we're all to blame for that, and it's the same reasons, but something to be aware of is that even if you find yourself not able to do things, and you know that you've promised someone you'll commit to doing that, it's more important to let the team know that you can't do it, and especially early on in the piece. Otherwise, we kind of just get left in the lurch, and you know, especially when there's, you know, events or meetings planned and things like that, the members want to know, you know, is it happening or is it not happening? And it doesn't take much effort to let people know, sorry guys, I can't do it, whatever. But that's really the critical thing here. No one's going to blame you if you can't do something. It's just that you need to let people know. So, yeah, I don't want to rave on forever about that, but I think that's fairly critical and something I've noticed throughout the year. And some other important things that we need to be doing is meeting minutes as well. I've spent the last few weeks making sure that all that's up to date with respect to the committee meetings, which is quite important for us. At our last meeting on Wednesday just gone, we went through and made sure we've approved all of the meeting minutes for the year, and that there's nothing outstanding, and that we checked off, you know, any action items that were outstanding and important. This flows on to other teams like the network team as well, which I know you guys have started making an effort on that as well, to keep, you know, good, concise minutes and noting down action items and things like that. So general awareness for everyone is that these really are critical things that we've got to focus on. So I'm hoping that we can, you know, really nail that in the upcoming years, or the next year at least. Yeah, so I mean, overall, I think we've done pretty well considering. I'm sure you'll hear more from the other guys on some of the projects we've done this year, especially in the network. I know there's been a few things that happened there. It's not as crazy as usual, but or perhaps in the previous years. What else have I got here? So this year's committee, you would also know due through the nomination process there, 6 of the existing committee members have chosen to stand down this year. 3 of those have not been renominated, and that is David Young, Michael Kratz, and Joseph Burford. Or rather, they didn't wish to be renominated, so we thank you guys for your efforts throughout the year as well. And I think a couple of those guys, I'm not sure if all 3, but have served for the last 2 years as well, so we really appreciate you guys doing that. And I think we also recognise the importance of staying on for an extra, you know, for multiple consecutive years, because being able to bring that knowledge across through the next year is actually quite important, and it's actually quite hard to achieve something in the time frame of 1 year as well in some circumstances. So doing that gives you that ability to sign off and, you know, get something done that you've been trying to do. So thanks to those guys, and also Sam Greenwood, Sam Burney, Tony Dalmeyer, who have volunteered their position. They've also been re-nominated though, so they do have the opportunity to be re-elected today. I think Sam Greenwood actually is absent today, so you probably won't be able to hear from him, but we do have the bios for all nominees on the website if you want to double check, see who you're voting for tonight. The other guys who are nominated, I'll give you a little chance to just introduce yourself at the end. I also want to thank, with respect to the network team, early on in the year we were struggling a bit to get a hold on the network team and kind of get it structured. John Briggs volunteered early on to try and wrangle a team together and hold some meetings, which I think we had 1 or 2 meetings with John, but ultimately he also communicated that the time commitment he couldn't make it, so he wanted to make that available for someone else. And that was when we reopened the position again and re-advertised, and I think Jordan Morrison at that point was when he put his hand up, so he's currently been in that role for the latter half of the year probably, and I think he's prepared a nice report for you guys tonight to let you know where they're at, and there's been a handful of network team meetings as well. He's been making a concerted effort to make sure that minutes are taken, because we said early on in the piece we really need the communication between the network team and the committee to get some of these projects going. So that'll be great to hear from him, and we thank Jordan as well for stepping up to that. And one thing I wanted to mention on a positive note as well is the barbecues this year. And again, we have to mention Tony and his outstanding efforts this year. Probably one of our greatest achievements for the year, I would say, with respect to the amount of funds raised, which I'm sure is far and beyond anything we've raised in previous years. I think I've got the total here. Total for fundraising, it's about almost $6,000, $5,875. So that's a pretty significant effort. I think, have you prepared anything, Tony? I'll give you a chance to say some stuff in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. And some of the other people that I know, for some of the barbecues I've gone to myself, that were present and making significant efforts. John Briggs again, who's been fairly instrumental actually in transportation of all this stuff for the barbecues, which is quite significant, in fact. Sean Lever, Ray Williams, Andrew Coombs, Sean Zeppel, probably some others, but let's give all those guys a round of applause as well. Ultimately, the funds that they're raising, whilst we don't have a whole lot of things happening right now, it has created, if you have a look at the income statement there, with membership included, just this year we've generated almost $10,000. So that's going to all go directly back into the network at some point. It's just a matter of getting these projects going, and that's now available to help us get things done. So that's just awesome. Finally, something else that we usually report on at this time of year is the Maker Faire. There was actually no Maker Faire this year, and that's because the Adelaide Makerspace crew are currently in the process of finding a new space for themselves to do their Makerspace thing. So whilst they've been doing that this year, I think they've been far too busy to also do the normal arrangements for the Maker Faire. But some of you would remember Robert Hart, who was a quite involved member many years ago. He's heading up the coordination for the Adelaide Makerspace, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from him soon. I think they've secured a venue now, and I expect that there's going to be some big news coming out about that pretty soon. So that'll be cool, and I think probably next year we'll see a Maker Faire again and hope to be there. Now, I've also just prepared some numbers about membership. We didn't really have a membership report per se prepared, so I've kind of just nominated myself to just do that tonight. Current membership as of today is 75 current members, which is actually a little bit less than usual. It's been less than previous years. And again, some of this you have to attribute to the fact that people just haven't been as available. We haven't done as much, we haven't made as much noise, and I'm hoping we can focus more on that next year and see if we can change this around. But that's about 20 or 30 members down from where we were at last year. So I'm hoping we can improve that. I think a lot of that as well is existing members that haven't renewed potentially. And we've got the opportunity to chase those people and see if they're still interested and what we can do to keep them involved. So new members as of last financial year, 7 new members and 57 renewals. This will be contributing to the numbers you see in the financial report. And interesting information about payments. We've had the new members portal system online for the last couple of years now. We launched it previous year. And that also had the ability to do online credit card renewal. That seems to have made it a lot easier for people. This year, credit card renewal, 54, PayPal 8 and 2 by direct deposit, totaling a membership income of $3,150. So quite interesting that since that's been available, a lot more people are using credit cards instead of PayPal or cash. Actually, that might include a few cash ones as well, but those numbers weren't involved in that. So that's pretty cool. And I think just very recently we had 2 new sign-ups as well, because this year we sorted out a few issues with online sign-up. So if you've got members out there or potential members that you think would like to join, they can actually do that 100% now just by going to members.airstream.org and using the join link there. That then goes into a processing queue, and the committee have to approve the new membership, at which point they can pay for their membership and everything as usual would happen. But we're hoping that makes it a little bit easier for people to do that process. It used to be a PDF, you got to fill it out and scan it and all that. We want to avoid that if we can. And ultimately that we can make membership renewing and signing up a bit easier. So yeah, keep that in mind. Alrighty. Any other membership related items? Yeah, I think that's mainly what I wanted to cover there. And just to go into the financial report as well, Sam Greenwood being our treasurer for this year, he's unfortunately not here tonight. He had another engagement. But also, unfortunately was a little bit absent this year. So it made reporting on things from month to month a little bit difficult for the committee. And if you have a look through our committee meeting minutes, you'll see a lot of the time we've provisionally approved the financial report due to lack of information or Sam wasn't present. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. I've recently tried to assist him with catching up on what was missing, especially in the later half of this year. But yeah, that has been a bit of a struggle, and I know he's apologetic about that. Unfortunately, these things happen, but again, the finance member is quite an important position that we need to make sure we have someone doing that that's available and taking care of everything in time. We also have an offer, a very generous offer from Tom Need's partner, one of our members, to assist with an audit, an independent audit of the accounts, something that we've trying to arrange for a while now. So I'm just kind of spearheading that and hoping to get that done this year as well. Probably later in this year or early next year we'll have that, and I'm hoping we can then send something out to all members, which is a finalisation of these accounts for the last year or two, just to make sure there's no omissions or errors or anything like that. But otherwise on financial, I've provided the income statement and balance sheet for the last financial year. If you guys could just take a look at that now. Let me know if you would like to discuss anything further on that. Of course, this is all still happening in our Cashew online accounting system. And again, to Cashew, we thank you guys for supporting us. We've had a free subscription there to Cashew for quite a while now, and yeah, it's a really great system for doing basic accounting like we need to do. And it produces these nice reports as well. This is pretty much straight out of the system. As long as you've got all your data in there, you can run these off whenever you need, so that's really handy. Any questions from the floor on the finances? Yeah, so you got total income 9,151.68. Total expense 768 is quite low. You'll see insurance on there, which we do every year. Other expenses, the post office box is a donation that I sort of make every year. Special event is primarily for the AGM. Where we did debate whether or not we wanted to hold another special event this year, but I think it's quite important to do this and recognise people that have done things during the year. So the general consensus was that we would do it. And there are other expenses which have come in later in this year as well, which I think you'll hear about in the network report, so they'll be reflected in next year's report. Remember, this is only to the end of June last year. All good? So if I can get a motion from the floor just to accept the financials. Jordan, thank you. And a seconder for that as well. John, thank you. And just a show of hands to accept the financial report. Yes, thank you very much. So that's most of the hard stuff out of the way. I will quickly run down the election process for tonight. Before I hand over to some of the other team to do their report. Or maybe I'll do that after, actually. Yeah, if you don't mind. So next on the books here is fundraising. Tony, do you want to just give us a quick review of the year from your perspective? Thanks, Tony.
Yes, it's been quite a busy year for us for barbecues. We managed to get a spot with Marion, and it turned out to be one a month, I think, this year. So with Marion and Woodville, I think altogether we ran about 9 barbecues since last year, 10 barbecues. And it got so bad I got confused with the last one. I marked up the date. However, we just completed one at Woodville, which was quite a big one, $1,800 I think we raised for that one. And then out of the blue, we've got another one coming up in December for Marion, and 2 more for Woodville in January and February next year. So it looks like we're going to steam ahead with our barbecues. And as always, John and Sean have been my stalwarts. We've managed to do a couple of barbecues just with the 3 of us. Even, in fact, I think we did one with 2 of us at Marion. Most of the time, if it wasn't for those 2, some of the barbecues would have had to be cancelled. It's a bit unfortunate. I know most of the barbecues were on during the week, and you guys work, and it's pretty hard to ask you to have the day off to do it. But so we've managed to do it anyway, and usually Marion is not too bad. We can do that one quite easily with 3 people. I think it's been quite good, all told, and hopefully we'll raise some more money for the club next year. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tony. And of course, guys, barbecues such as Tony's been arranging is just one of the many ways we can do fundraising. Obviously, he finds that that's a comfortable thing to do, and he's doing his best to get that done. But there are many other avenues, and we're open to all of them. So always let us know if you've got a new idea that you think we should pursue. Alrighty. So how about a network report? That sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? Let's welcome Jordan down. Thanks, Jordan.
Go. All right, well, for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Jordan. So I've been working with the network team this year. Just to start off with, just a quick overview of what we're going to take a quick look at today. I've referred to 2018 as more of a year of preparation. I started working with the network team probably about halfway through the year, and we've had quite a few meetings. We've talked about a lot of things, but now the idea is putting that talk, a lot of it, into action. So we've got quite a few members. I think for most of our network meetings, we had about 8 to 10 members attending, which has been awesome. And at the beginning of the, just before the end of the financial year, I think, we had, 30 almost attend one meeting, with everyone getting involved as to what they would like to see. So today we're going to have a quick look at the network. You know, what have we got going at the moment? A new core site. So we're going through a process at the moment with Tonsley, which hopefully will lead to a new core site down south. Upgrades, what are we doing with the network at the moment? What do we need to have a look at? And some of the maintenance stuff that we're doing, including getting an asset register together. And then at last, just wanted to have a quick chat about members' proposals. What do you want to see, and what can we do going forward to get you more involved? So at the moment, we currently have approximately 170 operational nodes, with 142 of the sites offline that may be connected. The distance doesn't appear to have changed over the year between the longest links, and we've got active prefixes of 347 with active AS numbers of 92. Now the technical stuff, any technical things, I have no idea about. So the right people to ask might be Justin Pirro or Sam Burney or Tom Need, someone that knows what the technical stuff all means. I couldn't even tell you what AS stands for. So, Tonsley. Sorry, I'm just going to get my little spill up here. So these are a couple of images from Tonsley, just showing the sort of lookout that we're going to get when we set it up. It's been quite a process, and currently managing that is Tony and Andrew, who have done a fantastic job. They've dealt with a lot of people getting in their way and blocking them during this process, but Tony, through perseverance and about 30 phone calls to 30 different people getting transferred around, has managed to get us the right person who's now working with us to push it forward. Now, we've had a couple of site visits, and during the process, from our end, we've made what sounds like a couple of just small errors that they've sort of taken as a big thing, but working through that, Tony, I know, has put extraordinary effort into making sure the proposal's correct, and making sure that it's gone correctly, and now we'll hopefully be able to push forward over the next few months and getting this set up in the new year. So if you've got any questions about Tonsley, whether or not you can connect there, please have a quick chat with Tony or Andrew. They might be able to give you a little bit more information. They've been there. I believe they've been on the roof to take these photos as well and have a quick look out. But it's been a great site. I'm really excited about it because I'm 50 metres away from, and I can connect to the network. So that's pretty exciting for me. Cement Hill. So some of you might have known what's happened at Cement Hill during the year. So there's been a couple of different issues. Now, some of that being power related, some of it being equipment related. However, again, through perseverance from Tony and Andrew, they've done quite a lot to get this back online and working properly. Now, there was found to be a lodger there who was pulling out some of the cabling and the copper wiring, I believe. And after sorting that out, it's all back and operational, and we're going to be looking at making some changes over the next year as well. So together with Cement Hill, there's a project going ahead which is to pull down Shadow Park as well as Lonsdale, and we'll be looking to make some upgrades there, getting them all back up. That's going to be quite a process because two of the sites being Shadow Park and Lonsdale, you need to have people at both sites at the same time to get those dishes back up and connected. So if anyone is interested in getting involved in that, please let me know. We'd use every hand on deck as possible. So So yeah, if you've got any questions, let us know, and we'll answer them as we can. The DC. So we've done a little bit of work at the DC, and thank you very much to your DC who's given us an awesome discount on the rack space. It's allowed us to get a few things set up and get some connectivity out there. So this is just a general overview. So we've rented 4RU with the discounted cost. The server that we're using there has been donated, and there's an installed router and connectivity. It's got peering with SAIX and internet transit that's been provided by Whisper Connect, which is run by some of our members. Now, on a technical level, if you do have any questions about that specifically, Justin Piro and Sam Burney are the ones who set it up, actually in the DC, so please have a chat with them. They'll be able to answer any of your technical questions as to how it works. As far as I'm aware, you plug things into things and they work. So it's pretty simple from my perspective. Yes, Sam? It is also heavily documented on the wiki, which a lot more of the stuff that we're doing will be as well throughout the next year. So one of the upgrades that was completed through the year, it was Pasadena 2. So on the left-hand side there, we've got what it originally looked like. So you've got, what's that, 3 dishes. And what is that thing called? The one at the top. I've never seen one. It looks old. A grid. Okay. On the left-hand side. Yeah, it's a grid. Okay. All right, so you guys know more than me. There you go. So just some of the changes that were made. Stability also, because there was a joint that was coming out of the wall. So that's all been dyno bolted in properly, and some stability made, and I believe the link's been improved between the connecting side as well. So once again, Sam Burney, Sam Fawn, if you've got any questions about that site, they'd be the best two to speak to about that one. They were there, they completed the upgrade. All right, so that's some of the more exciting things that have happened throughout the year. There's a lot of discussion going on at the moment. All of our meeting minutes are available through the Airstream documentation through Google Drive at the moment. If you're not able to access them, please let me know. I'm happy to share them with you so you can have a look through. And if you've got any questions arising from that, you can always put it in the network channel on Slack. But basically, just to finish up today, I really just wanted to look at everyone else as well, see how we can get you involved. So we are always looking for things that maybe we can help out with, maybe we can assist with. If you've got any questions, feel free to put it in the network Slack, email network@, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, or we'll discuss it at the next meeting. You're always welcome to any of the meetings as well. It's not like we just say, nah, only 8 people. Please do come. Please share your ideas and get involved if you can. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Technical questions, I think I pointed them out. Otherwise, ask me and I'll point you in the right direction. So yeah, enjoy.
Thanks very much, Jordan. Any other questions or contributions even regarding network-related stuff from the floor? That's not ready yet. There you go. Oh, gosh. Technical. All right, awesome. So yeah, just to reiterate what Jordan said, the network team is something that is kind of heavily in flux and has been for the last year. So he's taken it under his wing there to try and get things going more frequently, get more people involved. If you have any idea that you want to ask or a suggestion, definitely get involved. We try to announce those as well as early as possible and on the Google Calendar, so keep an eye on that if you're wondering when the next meetings will be. Same goes for the committee and member meetings. We've been doing our best to keep the calendar updated, so yeah, it's definitely a good place to check. So finally, tonight, I'll just take you through the election process. as mentioned earlier, we have 6 vacancies, and this year we've had 8 nominees for those, well, including the 3 existing members, so 5 new nominations, and the 3 existing members who have stood down but are re-nominated. And those are the ones you'll be voting for this evening. So make sure you only mark 6 members on the ballot paper tonight. So I've got the information here required. I'll pass this on to you guys in a minute, and get you to distribute that if that's all right. But before we do that, we'll get those present to do a quick introduction, if you don't mind. And I've just got you guys here alphabetical. Andrew Coombs is number 1 on the list. Would you like to just say hello and tell us a bit about yourself, Andrew? Putting you on the spot now. No, you can come up. Yeah, just so everyone can see you. Is that all right? Yeah, good on you. Just a couple of minutes. Thanks, mate.
Hi, I've been probably involved with the Airstream now for a few years. My background is probably two-way radio for quite a number of years in the commercial field. Probably like to delve in and sort of build systems, play around, get involved with sort of getting people to build teams, to build radio networks as things change, etc. Was involved with Surf Lifesaving for quite a number of years, which meant a lot of voluntary hours, getting network teams very similar to what Airstream does, so we can get projects established. I suppose I was interested in seeing a lot of the people here and sort of want to get in and support Airstream to sort of for tomorrow and the future, and I suppose to help increase new people come in, probably like myself not being too much of an IT involved, but for people around me to support, get involved and sort of build from there. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Daniel Woodshire next. Thanks.
My name is Daniel. I am a IT manager at the Lutheran Church of Australia. So my background is in management of IT. I've been doing IT for over 20 odd years now. I accepted this nomination simply because I've got some experience I can offer. I mean, I've been involved with the Lutheran Church for quite a number of years. I've been on many committees over the years and have run many projects. So I feel, without saying too much, that, we can really, I see a lot of potential in this group and I really think that we can get bigger and better. So I want to help.
Thanks, Daniel. Justin Pirro.
All right, hopefully everyone knows me here. Haven't I? I know most people here. Yeah, all good. Done. I was pretty heavily involved almost all the years except for last year and maybe a little bit of the year before. Now that things have cleared up a little bit with family issues and stuff, I'm looking really forward to get back into it, get the club back to how it was, and my public speaking still hasn't improved over these years. So thank you.
On that note, being on the committee is a great way to improve your public speaking, so anyone wants to do that, you're welcome. Sam Burney.
I'm Sam Burney. I think most of you know me. You can't hear me? All right, there we go. All right, so my primary focus for next year, if I'm re-elected, is, as Troy's already highlighted, is just lack of communication in general the last couple of years. Not just from the committee and the network team, just in general, there's just not been a lot of communication, and I think unless you're a member in the inner circle, in one of the little cliques of Airstream, you don't really see a lot of what's going on. The Slack message, what are they called? Statistics reports that come through every week kind of tell a bleak story. We get about 1,000 messages a week on that platform, but about 90% of them are in private. So it's the sort of thing I really want to turn around. So, yeah, I really want to push a focus towards communication and openness and try and make everything a little bit more transparent than it is today. So that's my goal. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. And so Sam Greenwood is not available tonight, but again, if you want to see his bio, it's on the website under the AGM category. Sean Zappel, next on the roll. Thanks, mate.
Hello all, I'm Sean Zappel for those who don't know me. I've been a member of Airstream for over 10 years now and been involved in IT for 15 or 20 or whatever it is. I was a previous committee member a few years ago and I stepped down due to some other commitments. Some of those were to do with stepping onto other larger community and council groups. So I'm actually wanting to come back to the committee to help bring some larger committee focus and structure to help build the committee to be a bit more of a functioning organisation, because the last few years it's dropped away. I've got some real passion for Airstream, that's why I've been around for so long, and I'm keen to see Airstream develop into some new areas, because we've sort of been doing the same old thing year after year, and as we are seeing, membership is dropping, interest in the club is dropping, and some people's utilisation of the network is dropping because they don't need it anymore. So I'm very keen to see Airstream branch into some new areas, which could be some training aspects, as well as developing some new social groups, gatherings, events that we can get into, so people have a reason to join Airstream. Because at the moment, a lot of people ask us, why should we join Airstream? And you don't really have an answer, because they've already got their own NBN connection, they go do their own gaming, they're not interested in necessarily getting on a roof. But we've got a wealth of knowledge amongst all of our members to enable a lot of new members coming through to learn and understand basics like DHCP and routing, as well as more advanced topics. When I was on the committee previously, I was the one organising all of the members' meetings topics, when we were doing a lot more of those little training topics and recording them to try and get some more information out there, and that worked really well. Our attendances throughout those meetings were skyrocketing compared to normal. So I'm really keen to see this new committee, the people that are voted on, put the effort in. If you're not willing to put the effort in, step away. We need to have a group of functioning members that are on the committee who are committed to putting in an hour a week. That's all it really requires. There's not a lot that happens in this group. While we are 70 to 100 members strong, relatively speaking, there's very little actual administration required. So there's really no excuse to not be on the committee, be functional and be responsible. And at the same time, as Troy's already iterated, if you are unable to do your job due to life circumstances, let people know. It's pretty simple, and it helps everybody else have a full, clear picture, both on the committee and the members. So I'm very keen to see Airstream grow, get bigger, as well as give all of you people in this room who've come, and everyone on the live stream, and all of our other members, a reason to be a part of this club, so that we can actually have 75 people at this AGM. You know, give us a reason to book the larger room, because for the first time we have, 50% or more of our organisation here. That would be fantastic. So I'm Sean Zappel, vote 1.
Thanks, Sean. Tom Need, come on down.
Thank you all. Quite a fair few of you I've worked with on certain jobs over the years. I've been around Airstream for quite some time, but lately I've kind of been just sitting in the background. Over the last couple of years, if I didn't have the contacts that I did, I wouldn't have any idea really of what was going on. I think we got to a point where as people move into the NBN era, unlimited bandwidth, where does Airstream actually fit in anymore, or what are our goals, where are we going towards? And I think that there's an opportunity now for us to really help define that and grow it, especially when there's a lot of other cool things happening in the peripheries, especially with the Internet of Things and some of the other communities which are really gaining weight in Adelaide, and there's a lot of people showing that passion. And we want to be a part of that, and we have it. One thing I had when I first joined Airstream is I had a bit of an idea about what I was doing. I was, knew a bit about networking, but I didn't really know how to actually get some of these bigger things happening, how to get connected and be a part of it. And that's where the community really shone for me. It got a lot of people together. We did some great things. We put towers up at Cement Hill. We were hammering big, gigantic things into the ground. It's getting very sweaty. We're digging holes up in Hermitage, which is great fun. But it was a community thing, and I've got a lot of great friends and everybody that I met doing these things. And that's what I want to try and foster and help bring back to Airstream as well, that we don't go off and do these things independently, we do them all together and we share what we learn, we share what works, what doesn't work, and just make sure that everybody knows what's going on and where we're at. So with my kids taking up a lot of my time over the last few years, I haven't been participating as much as I want, but now that they're getting older, I feel that now's a great chance for me to jump back in. So I work in the ISP field, where I have for quite a few years in the corporate government enterprise space, in both, building, planning, delivering high-tier services. So I've got a lot of experience in bringing different parties together, getting everybody talking to each other, especially when there's, conflicting viewpoints. So I feel like I've got a lot to give, and I would love the opportunity to do that. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Tom. And finally, Tony. Let's hear from you again. As if you don't know the man.
Thank you. I think you all know me with my constant emails that remind you about barbecues, etc. Yes, I'd like to continue on the committee, and I agree with the last few nominees that we do need to make some changes in the club to get more interest and encourage more membership. And as I said, I'd like to continue doing that. Do what I do best, probably raising funds for the club. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Tony. And thanks everyone for that. It's usually a bit impromptu. So remaining members, myself and Sean Lever, we're actually really enthusiastic about continuing next year. We want to bring through a lot more of what we've learned from this year, I guess, and you guys have just, you've really hit on a lot of those points just now, a couple of you there, about the kind of things that we need to focus on to get Airstream back to what it used to be 2 or 3 years ago. That's how we remember it, and it's actually quite frustrating to think that we're not like that anymore, and try and figure out where we've changed and how we can get it back. So I'm really excited actually to hear that some of you guys sharing those views. And I had a chat to Sean earlier. He's also mentioned, unless you want to come and say a few words yourself. You're not being voted in or anything, but just to mention that he has indicated he wants to help out with those social initiatives as well, and some of the events and things to try and get more people involved just in a casual, relaxed atmosphere. So I look forward to seeing some of that next year. And thanks everyone for participating in the nomination process and putting yourselves up. What we'll do now is, before we get into our guest speakers, we've got the roll call here and some ballots. If you guys could distribute those. So as mentioned, the ballot paper's got 8 people on there. We only want you to tick 6 of them, please. There's no real preferential thing. You just got to tick 6 people. And make sure you're a current member as well, obviously. This only applies to current members. Thank you. We'll have the results at the end. Let those guys do their thing. So we're back. And I'd like to introduce Andrew Sargent and John Rishak from the Growing Data Foundation. They're also involved in a lot of other groups and things. That's just the one that I put you both in for this. But yeah, they'll tell you more about what they're up to. Just as a bit of a background intro, we've been talking with some guys that do a lot of stuff with IoT devices, and talking about the affinity between what they're doing and what Airstream's doing. And for a couple of years now, since a Maker Faire a few years ago, where I met Leo Gaggle, he told me about some of the projects they were doing and how there was possibility for Airstream to work with them. So I think you guys will find, as you see this presentation, that there's a clear symbiotic relationship we can have with these guys, and hopefully get some projects going next year as well. So thanks very much. I'll let you guys take it away.
No worries. Oh, thanks for inviting us along tonight. Hopefully, what we've got is something that's of interest to you guys. I think it should be, from what I've heard tonight at your AGM. You sort of look to be looking for the next next exciting thing that's going on, and I hope this might be it. So I've got a bit of a presentation more on just it's probably more the technical side of LoRaWAN and IoT, and then John will cover a bit of the sort of the bigger picture stuff on the projects that are happening and what the Growing Data Foundation and the Things Network's about. So yeah, I'm a farmer. I live up at Crystal Brook, about 2.5 hours north of Adelaide. We've got a family farm with 2,000 hectares of wheat, barley, lentils, canola, oat and hay. We're always looking to adopt new technology, so we've been some of the early adopters of a lot of the new tech stuff. And I actually was awarded an Nuffield scholarship this year to travel next year studying IoT overseas. So I'll be lucky enough to get a few months overseas next year, so that should be pretty interesting. It's just a couple of pictures of us at harvest time this year and seeding time this year. So we recently fitted implement steer. We built our own steerable hitch for the tractor, so we can now sow between a 300mm row at about 8 k's an hour, and then come back at harvest time and cut it exactly the same as we sowed it. So that's been pretty exciting. You can see on the sort of the right hand side of that picture it wasn't working, and then where we are there it's working, and it doesn't disturb any of the stubble from the year before. So yeah, there's some pretty exciting stuff happening in ag. And yeah, that's reaping our block up at Appler, which is about half an hour north of where our main farm is. It was actually this block that got me started in IoT in the first place. Quite often we'll get all geared up, we'll do the big trek. It's about an hour and a half in a tractor just to get up there to find that it's too windy or it's too wet and we can't go spraying. We've got to turn around and come back. So I thought, well, surely there's got to be a better way of doing this. I didn't like the idea of 3G and using the mobile phone network. So I got started looking into IoT, which is where I came across the LoRaWAN and the TTN stuff. So yeah, I've found it pretty interesting, so hopefully you guys will as well. The Growing Data Foundation is an organisation in Adelaide that was developed to support open source projects and help with the implementation of open data for the community. So John will talk more about that afterwards. So everything that carries power will eventually be connected to the internet, and the number of IoT devices that are active is expected to grow to 10 million by 2020 and 22 billion by 2025. So pretty much anything you can think of that you want to monitor, give it time, it probably will be monitored. They'll stick a radio on it and you can check whatever you want. This isn't something that's going to go away in a hurry. So some of the uses of IoT, environmental monitoring, weather quality, air quality, water quality, dam levels, buildings, assets, utilities, infrastructure, agriculture. Like I said, and you just put smart in front of anything and there's smart meters, there's smart agriculture. Given time, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. Even tracking stock at the moment, they're putting collars on cows so they can monitor where the cow is in the paddock, what its body temperature is, whether it's eating, all of that sort of stuff. So there's a few of these technologies you're probably aware of. Sort of you got on the left-hand side is sort of your short range stuff, so your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, sort of 10 to 100 metre sort of stuff. And then on the right-hand side, you've got your LPWAN, so your long range, low power stuff. And then you've got up the top there sort of your NB-IoT, so the mobile networks, the telcos are rolling out NB-IoT at the moment. So I think that's sort of a complementary technology to LoRaWAN, which is it's a really low data rate, really small payload, sort of in the vicinity of sort of 50 bytes, but also really low power. Whereas the mobile network stuff in NB-IoT is higher bandwidth, higher speed, lower latency, but also higher power consumption as a trade-off. So we've sort of focused more on the LoRaWAN side of it because it's, well, I'll go on just while we're focused on it. So there's different aspects to it. So the Things Network is the overarching thing that manages the whole thing, but you have LoRa, which is the radio modulation, but then on top of that there's LoRaWAN, which is or the network architecture side of it. So LoRa is a physical layer. It's the modulation used between the radios. You can set up a LoRa link between two radios, just like a bit like a point-to-point, one device to one device. It's low speed, 0.3 to 50 kilobits per second, and it uses chirp spread spectrum modulation, which is the same stuff that's been used by the military and space programs for forever. But Semtech developed this into what's, I guess, consumer grade stuff now, and that's available. They license that out to, there's a few manufacturers that build chips, all using the same Semtech chips, I guess. So if we want to develop that from a point-to-point connection to a network connection, we want to connect that to the wide area network. We need something that's going to manage all that. So that's where LoRaWAN comes in. That's a standardised messaging protocol that works on top of the LoRa modulation. It manages the channels, data rates, which gateways actually transmit the downlink message back to your nodes. Any new device joins and the encryption is all managed sort of in that level. You just got to be careful when you're searching for stuff. There is between LoRa and LoRaWAN. But by having that, you can improve the battery life, the network capacity, and the security of your system, because you don't have a lot of that scheduling or the encryption if you're just using straight LoRa connection between two devices. And it's been optimised for this low energy stuff. So this stuff will all run on batteries for a long time. And it's open source. So that LoRaWAN stack that manages the network side of it, that's managed by the LoRa Alliance, which is all open source. So while the modulation is proprietary with Semtech, the actual network architecture side of it is all open sourced. So in that early slide, there's these different classes of devices once you get into the LoRaWAN side of it. And that just allows it to be a bit more flexible. So rather than just having a specific way that the device is set up, there's three different classes which allow you either to be sort of really power conservative or really low latency, depending on what your application is. So if you've got a Class A device, which most are, it just wakes up, sends its message, goes back to sleep, wakes up 10 minutes later, sends another message. So really good for stuff where you just want to when you want to measure something, send it, and that's it. Class B, which is something that's sort of only being implemented at the moment, because this is all sort of a growing thing. LoRaWAN is still being developed. That'll wake up, the network will send a message out, wake up your end device, and it'll send a message. So if you need something it needs downlinks regularly, or something like that, but you're still on a battery. And then Class C is ones that if you need a really low latency, they'll be awake all the time, listening for a downlink message, and then they can act on that. But those ones are generally powered by mains power or solar or something like that, because that's a lot more power hungry. So yeah, just to summarise that, why we chose LoRaWAN. It's long range, so 5 Ks in an urban area, 15 Ks in a rural setting, and I've had my gateway out to 48 Ks, line of sight, on top of a hill, that sort of thing. But yeah, it is possible. I think the theoretical maximum for the LoRa modulation is 850 Ks, and they got 702 Ks in Europe with a high altitude balloon someone let go. So yeah, that wasn't a bad effort. They're really low power, so you know, in the order of milliamps current draw. So the batteries will last sort of 5 to 10 years. Which makes them really good for deploying out in the field where they're inaccessible. You can just send them out there and they'll be right for a long time. Low bandwidth, so yeah, like I said, 50 kilobytes. I think the maximum payload you might be able to get up to 200 kilobytes if you're close to the gateway and all things going right. It will actually adjust the size of the packet you can send. Low connectivity costs. So unlike NB-IoT, you can actually install your own gateways. As a consumer, you can go out and buy a gateway. They're $500, $1,000, and you can go and stick one up, and you'll have your own LoRaWAN network. Whereas NB-IoT, that's all very much carrier grade stuff. You're sort of restricted to where the carriers want to do it and paying. It's secure, so it's encrypted, 120-bit AES encryption, I believe, end to end. So there's no issues with security. If someone wants to hack in and know what your living room temperature is, that's pretty hard. It's bi-directional, unlike some other LPWAN connections. You can actually send messages back down to your end device. So if you've got something monitoring a tank level, and your tank's full and you want to turn the water off to the tank, you can actually send a message back down to your device because of those different classes. And it's an open standard, so yeah, it's open sourced, which is good. It seems to be something that it's developing, and it seems to be one of the standards that has been taken on board. I think in the beta VHS sort of battle, I think this might have been the one that came out on top, so it looks like it should be here to stay for a while. But the catch is that it's not real time and it's not suitable for data intensive stuff because it's got that latency when the device wakes up and goes to sleep, and the really low bandwidth, it's just not suitable for that stuff. But for a lot of the IoT applications, it's sort of a really good fit. So that's my tower at home. It's not quite as flash as some of the ones I saw up here earlier tonight. But yeah, that's something I made. I bought the parts online off of AliExpress. I think it was about $300 worth of components there. Used an old GPS RTK tower that we had and chucked that up. An old fridge. It makes a really good cabinet. So yeah, that's up the top of that tower. There's my bit of 100mm stormwater pipe, and inside of it's just a Ubiquiti radio link back down to my house to connect to the NBN, and then inside the top part there's the LoRaWAN radio, and yeah, all bundled into my weatherproof enclosure. And this is a tower I built earlier this year for monitoring temperature inversion. So an issue we're having in ag at the moment is we spray chemicals. We used to spray at daytime, and they got told us that we couldn't do that because they didn't work properly. So the best time to spray it was at night time when it was cool. So we went and sprayed it at night time, and then they found out that at night time you get what's called a temperature inversion, where the hot air, the hot air is normally above or below. I can't remember now. No, it's opposite to what you think. Yeah, hot air rises, but the air is warmer. The air is warmer closer to the ground because it radiates off the ground. And then, so at night time, when there's calm conditions, the ground cools down and it turns around the other way, and you get these pockets of air trapped. You see it when you drive down a gravel road at night time, and the gravel just goes sideways, or the dust just goes sideways. So when we go spraying and we spray into that layer, our chemical just sits there and goes sideways, and we've had issues where we haven't. Places 50 kilometres away, they've had chemical damage from spraying that's been done at night. So now we've gone back the other way and they tell us we have to spray at daytime. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to monitor where and when these inversions are occurring so that we can get back some of our nighttime spraying hours where the conditions are better. So this was a tower set up. It's got a temperature monitor at 2 metres and one at 10 metres, just to try and get an idea of what the temperatures are doing, and then when that inversion comes in, we know to stop spraying, and when it lifts, we know we're right to go again. But yeah, that was something to build off another part off, $40, $50 I think it was. So this stuff's it's all cheap and it's all accessible. It's good for the DIY stuff. There's a lot of support out there online for all of it. So yeah, it's a good, what are we now, 2018? 10 months ago, 12 months, this time last year I knew nothing about this. And since then I've managed to build a gateway, build a node, set up the server on the back end of it, display it on the net. Like it's pretty accessible. That luckily isn't our header. This year we had one of our driest years we've ever had. 2 years ago we had one of the wettest years we've ever had. Thankfully that was our neighbour's header, and he found a wet spot during harvest. And we found out that it takes around about 1,000 horsepower and about 16 large rubber tyres to pull out a header that's bogged. And I told him I'd never show anyone these photos, so let's do ourselves. We never saw it. Nah, well he said as long as I don't show anyone until he trades the header, it's fine. He's since traded that header, so. So yeah, back at that original, that slide, there was the 3 layers. There was the LoRaWAN, and there was the Things Network. So the Things Network, we've got they're an open source collaboration, and there's a community in Adelaide. So the TTN Adelaide community has 65 contributors. I checked this morning. Probably a bit the same as you guys. We've got 65 members, but of that, probably a dozen are active members. And they're working on a range of projects at the moment. So we've got guys looking at building gateways. So we've got our own gateways built in Adelaide. building end devices, so building nodes. We've got guys working in the vineyards. Another guy's only, see, how old's Lockie? Year 12, year 11? Year 11, who's designed his own boards, building his own inload and LoRaWAN boards. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in Adelaide, which is good. And we're also working to establish an open network across sort of across Adelaide and regional SA. Well, I'm pushing for the regional SA side of it. But yeah, I think that's a fit where you guys might be interested in sort of what we're doing. Something that could work in really well with the infrastructure that you guys have got. So yeah, so the Things Network fits above it all. This is what provides the server. It provides the application servers to actually get it all happening, to route all your packets to where they need to go. So you've got your end devices, they transmit to your gateways. Your gateways then backhaul it back to the network server, which then can send it off to integration. So the TTN doesn't really do anything with the data, they just forward it through to where it needs to go, and then you can incorporate that into your own applications. So the reason we chose the Things Network in Adelaide, and that's what we're sort of pushing forwards with, is that their mission is to create a decentralised, technology-independent IoT network, which is owned and operated by its users. So again, it's another open source network. Your data is your data. It's not, they don't keep it like there's some big ag companies that are sort of offering similar services, but they keep a copy of your data and then they work with it and then they own it. So I like about this is that it's your data, they just providing a conduit for it. Again, it's encrypted, it's open source. The network is put up by guys like us that want to put a go out, want to have a connection. You're free to do it. So they do have a commercial arm, the Things Industries. So I guess a lot of people ask, well, if it's free, how come it's free? So they have a Things Industries arm, which is commercial, which has guaranteed SLA, support, all that sort of stuff. Whereas the TTN side of it isn't supported. It's supported on the forums and the wikis and that sort of thing. And the SLA, there's no guaranteed SLA, so that's fine for 90% of stuff as well anyway. Yeah, you can see the quotes. So yeah, that's their coverage around the world at the moment. That's all their gateways they've got across the world. You can see it started in Europe, in the Netherlands, where they've got nearly 3,000 gateways. But across the world, I think they're up to a bit over 5,000 gateways. And in Australia, we've got a few going. Adelaide's, I think, probably batting above its weight, punching above its weight. We've got a decent amount in Adelaide, and even a few spread out across SA. Mine's that one up by itself, the most northernmost one in SA. So yeah, and then in Adelaide, that's roughly our coverage in Adelaide. So yeah, there's pretty good coverage in the CBD, but there's a lot of holes in it around the place. So yeah, I guess we're looking to spread that and do some good with that. There you go. I'll let John fill in all the gaps.
Well, I don't really have a lot more to add to that. I'll probably just give you a little bit of history about the Growing Data Foundation. So we, well, I wasn't involved at the start, but they won a GovHack competition, won a Premier's Award in 2014 for an app called What Grows Here, which is a localised app telling you what flora and fauna is. Anyway, that seed funding went on to, well, they formed the Growing Data Foundation out of that. I had been involved with GovHack, and I joined them a few years ago. And we had a project where we had to monitor possum boxes. We decided that we were going to build smart possum boxes so that people didn't have to go around and check the box. We wanted data out of these possum boxes. And of course, there was no way to get the data out without having either mains power for a Wi-Fi connection or point-to-point, what you guys use. So we went looking and found the Things Network. So we've sort of grown with the Things Network as the Things Network grows. The Growing Data Foundation really is, our role in this network, I think, is just to get it kick-started. We're not really interested in anything other than just making it grow. We're a non-for-profit, and our focus really is on software and sort of app development and moving into sort of cloud services and things for environmental monitoring, and that's our particular focus is on the environmental aspect of all this, of which, you know, Larawan, this is a perfect fit for us. So those, at the moment, there's actually 14 live gateways in the Adelaide metro area. That's just about to double real rapidly because the feds have funded a couple of one of the universities to work with some local councils. So especially up north, we're going to have basically blanket coverage. And we're just trying to get other people involved to fill in those gaps that you see. So that's really our short-term focus, is to get more gateways up. So anyone with a roof and backhaul somehow we're more than happy to talk to. So all of the gateways we've had so far, we've funded some of the gateways. We've got Andrew and people like that who are building their own. I think you can probably get down to about $200 worth of kit now to build a multi-channel gateway. So yeah, really excited to see this thing grow, and it's just about to explode. I suspect it's going to be a very interesting area. And one thing I'm really interested in is because each of the world areas has their own sort of frequency bands because this operates in scientific and medical band. So we're 915 to 923. We're not a carrier, obviously, like you guys, so we've got those restrictions. We're a non-for-profit. But what we're interested in is locally developed sensors, and we've got some really good contacts now with the local electronics industries, and that's something that we're particularly excited about is developing new sensors and building that industry in South Australia too. So there you go. Thanks again, Andrew. You did most of it.
Anyone want to ask the guys some questions while we've got them? They're quite experienced in this stuff, and I know a lot of you were at the meeting that we had previously where this was the focus. Sean?
Is there a maximum number of connections per gateway? So do you need overlaps, or does one gateway provide enough for everyone in that 5K radius?
So theoretically, I think 65,000 nodes can connect to a gateway, in theory. I think in practice, they're probably talking more sort of 5,000 nodes because it's not synchronized, like they just send ad hoc. If two nodes send at the same time, you can lose a packet off one of them. So yeah, the more gateways, the better. And the way to handle higher node loads is to have more gateways. So yeah, that densification makes the network more reliable. And in urban areas, sort of that is 5Ks, but it depends on where your gateway is and that sort of thing. Like while there's a lot of gateways there and they show these nice blue circles, you know that's not really the range of them. So yeah.
And does each packet get received by multiple gateways and one chooses to upload it, so it's a mesh?
Yep. So yeah, I guess in here it's a mesh on that side of it. So yeah, the nodes will just transmit. They don't even care if there's a gateway in range. They'll just transmit, and then any gateway in range will receive that, and they'll all then forward that packet on to the network server, and the network server then decides which one's the best one, drops all the rest, and keeps that. And that's also then how it decides with the downlink message, which gateway is going to broadcast the downlink message. They don't all broadcast the downlink message. So
more overlap, the better.
Yep. So because the other thing with it is that all these gateways we've got at the moment are 8-channel gateways. So we run on a subband 2, which is with 8 channels, and they'll receive on all 8 channels. But as soon as you want to send a downlink message, it stops listening on those 8 channels and it just sends on one channel. So if another node sends while you're sending a downlink, then you won't receive it. So that's the problem if you've only got one gateway, you can miss out on messages. So they really push not to set up systems where you're looking for acknowledgement messages. You sort of got to accept the fact that you may miss some of your packets, but yeah, don't look for an acknowledgement to get it to send another packet.
Do you find you have much problem with security of the end devices? Because I can imagine a whole lot of small sensors, even across the boxes, they might, animals might take them.
Anyone knocked them off?
No, we haven't had any stolen yet. Look, again, we're really focusing on the gateways at this stage, and the sensor development is just coming along. There's no point putting out sensors when there's no gateway. So that's our focus at the moment. But then, yes, of course, you'd have all those issues as well, like with security of devices and things like that. So even with the gateways, we're looking for secure areas to put them in, and you know.
And also with your, the encryption end to end,
the gateways themselves are just passing the encrypted packets. So even if you had access to a gateway, you wouldn't be able to decrypt it. That's about as far as I'm not a security or network guy, but there's a few layers.
Yeah, so depending on how you set up the node, they can either set up APB, authentication by personalisation. So you put the network keys into the node. So there's the app ID, the app key, and the network key, I think.
Yep.
And you program all of those into the node, and they're done. And then those keys are then you put that into your console on your computer, and they match up and it works. So I guess in theory, if someone got hold of that node, and then they could actually read the data off of that node, then yeah, they could get those keys, but that would only give them access to that node anyway. And that's not the method they're sort of promoting. The method they promote is OTAA, so over-the-air activation, where you just put sort of a serial number into the node, and then all the authentication's done on the server side of it. So the node sends its name, and the server sends back, right, well, this is your key, and these are the channels you're going to work on. So it's not stored on the node in that situation. That's the preferred method of doing it.
I noticed the other LoRaWAN guys were talking about a meetup or something that will happen soon. Are you a part of that?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, so that's the other thing we do is we run the meetup. So the next meetup is actually at a new Indian company called NZ who's very interested in this technology. It's going to be, I'll just check the dates in a second. You can check that? 28th of November. So please come along. They're actually, we're in there at the moment helping them design a showcase of IoT stuff. So there's going to be some pretty cool tech. And the location for that is number 1 King William Street. So it's a great location.
Now we'll get updated on the meetup website?
Yeah, definitely. I'll update that pretty soon. We're just confirming we're actually, we want to sort of get that showcase built as well. So we're, like everyone else, we've got day jobs and we're all doing this for volunteers, yeah. So yeah, so keep an eye out. The name of the meetup group is Adelaide IoT and Open Data Meetup. That's what it's called at the moment. It might change next year, but that's what it's going to be this year. And yeah, just sign up there. It's funny, we've got about 600 members and about 20 people who actually turn up. I understand why you don't come.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hike sometimes, yeah.
This one here? Adelaide IoT and Open Data Meetup.
Yeah.
You search for that?
Yeah, probably. Heads north.
That's it?
Heads north. Oh, that's it. No, 16th of May 17, that's an old one. But yeah,
Oh,
that's the group. Yeah, that's
so
the
the group
page.
is here. Yep. Cool. I don't even think we've announced it yet.
Yeah, that's all right. Just so that people can find it.
Oh yeah.
No, it's just there.
Oh, it is there. Yeah. Okay, so has done it. Yeah, so we've got Amazon coming along too to talk about their IoT. So obviously the LoRaWAN, the Things network, you end up with your packets and your data, and then you can send it off to whatever sort of service you want. And we tend to work with Amazon a bit. They've been quite generous. Yeah, so if you want to find out more about Amazon IoT and the Things network, come along to that meetup.
Absolutely. Cool. Any other questions? Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, thank you very much. If we could just get your attention again, we have the final result for the elections, and I'll hand over to David to deliver that.
Who are the members staying on? Yourself?
Myself and Sean Lever.
Okay.
Do you want my list? I can't really see what it's there.
That's all right.
You've got that. Yes, on screen.
Okay, the results for the 2018-2019 Airstream Committee. We've got Troy Vodopek staying on, and we've got Sean Lever staying on. Come up. And the results from the vote, we had 8 members nominated to stand for the committee, and we've got 6 positions available. And the new committee members for the 2018-19 are Andrew Coombs, or Running Wolf, Justin Piro or Justo, Sam Burney or Tanuki, Sean Zeppel, DJ Hip, Tom Need, B grade, and Tony Dalmeyer, Tamaya. Congratulations, guys.
We'll get a proper photo. That's all right. Quick, smile, everyone. Huddle. Short ones at the front. That'll do. Awesome.
All right, congratulations and thank you very much, everyone involved. We'll wrap that up then this evening. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching this back on the replay, get involved, let us know what you thought, and remember to stay in touch over the coming year, and keep us accountable if we're not doing a good enough job of keeping you in touch as well. All right? Thanks very much, and again, we'll see you next time.